Hello, my name is Xander Zalantino, and today I will be going over how to play Zani and how she works. So firstly, I'm going to go ahead and say, this is for people that don't fully understand her, and just a quick guide, not a crazy guide, a more quick one on how to play her, some of her rotations, some teams, how accessible is she, and how to build her mostly. So go to say on builder while I show my build. Eternal Radiance set, crit damage 4 cost, be a 1 to 3 cost Capitaneous always if you can. But if you don't have one, you still need to use a 4 cost, that is fine. And then of course crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, ER, heavy attack. That's all the stats she wants. Attack flat can be used, liberation can be used, basic can be used, but they're not as valuable as the other ones I mentioned. Now weapons, she obviously her signature is by far the best, and without Phoebe, you kind of need her signature a lot more if you want to make her feel better. But if you already have her, then, especially if you have say Orochia's weapon, then you don't even need to pull her signature if you have Phoebe already, because Orochia's weapon makes up enough. Shang Liao's weapon can work, but it's not the greatest. Standard is not the greatest either, but usually if you just have Phoebe, you can almost make up for all that diff. You only really need signature if you want to excel her, or you're not pulling Phoebe. Now, starting off before we get into it, the question everyone wants to know, does she need Phoebe? No, she could work without her. I have a clear later in this video that's her using a Zani Mortefi Shorekeeper team and clearing. And Spectral Rover would of course be even better in that team. Spectral Rover is very good. I only say my only thing about Zani without Phoebe is that you kind of do need her signature if you don't have Phoebe. If you have Phoebe, then you literally almost don't have to get the signature. Standard works. But you kind of do need Zani's Sig a lot if you don't. But I would always recommend trying to go for Phoebe over Zani's signature unless you just despise Phoebe for some reason. But Zani can still work very well without her. Very well with Spectral Rover. The thing about Spectral Rover is you have to make up the gap with playing well. If you don't play well with quick swapping, better rotations, and all that, then Spectral Rover doesn't feel as good. But usually you can get pretty close, not for crazy close, but decently close to Zani Phoebe with Zani Spectral Rover if you just play extremely well. But with Zani Phoebe you could play Monkey Brain and get away with everything. Now I'm getting into how to play her. Now I'm going to go through her basic chain. So her basic chain is quite simple. So there's 2 formations, and then there's an easier way to access. The best move you usually want to reach is the spin, but here's the bases. So that's base rotation 1. And then base rotation 2. Now, how you trigger both of them is you can always guarantee the non-spin one by either pressing fast enough or you move forward while doing it. Apologies, I'm messing it up. And if you move forward while doing it, you always trigger that. Now if you hold it still, spin, and then slam. Now normally you always want to reach the spin gives the most little bar. And now with a quick away, whenever you skill. Bam. Now if you do press too fast, you will not trigger the spin. So normally you want to let go, and then hold, and press. Now, for a charge, just whenever you get the charge, see the parry, just swing it. There's nothing too much to it, of course, other than the tech I talked about earlier in the vid. And that does not push into the rotation like that other skill does. So, I think that explains that there, and it is quite simple. And if I did just explain all that, in all honesty, you never use her normal basic rotation other than the shield parries and then normal attacks. Because usually, right when you're doing it in a rotational sense, you get an ult and get off her. You don't really spend much time not an ult unless you are soloing or you have really bad energy problems. Now, one of her most important part of her kits, her built-in parry. Her built-in parry is very good and it is triggered by using skill, and you eventually get an enhanced version. And in her ult, you get a mega enhanced version, which you can hold for a while to get a really strong attack. And we'll talk about a way in a second that makes the enhanced skill a lot easier to use, because currently the timing of it's a little more sketchy than using just the normal skill parry. normal skill parry can block anything, any attack, so easily, like a breeze, even if it's not parryable. And I always recommend using this, never use normal parries. And the enhanced skill, it's a little more sketchy to hit a parry with, but if you do, you get a little more benefits. And in a second, I'll talk about a tech that makes it almost as easier if you use it right. Now, a tech discovered by someone I will leave up here and in the description. It is a parry tech that is very useful, especially in ult state, where if you hold down the charge and then dodge backwards, you can hold it for a long time and then almost guarantee any parry. It is a very strong tech for very good pinches, especially when you're doing very harder content low. Normally it's not too used, but say even if you're solo zannying or even just playing her normally against just a really aggressive boss, it's very useful. So I will show it here, and again, you do it by hold, charge, and then keep dashing back, and then that's how you hold it for longer. The timing can be messed up and you will lose it, but usually it doesn't go for as long as that. So that's how you do that. Now, the biggest benefit to this tech, I will say, is in ult state, if you get positioning, then hold it, then keep dashing till you get a chance to attack or parry. It is very beneficial because the charged attack is a little better than just normal basic attacking in ult state. So this parry helps a lot if you're trying to min-max damage. But again, it is risky if you can't do the tech right, because then you get smacked and a lot of damage to you. But if you can, it's a great thing to use, great useful tool, and will help you a lot. Now, let's say a healer, phoebe, zani team, the rotation you want to do. Healer, do a full rotation. Then phoebe, do full rotation, of course going confession. I recommend confession trigger, ult, basic attack 1, skill, basic attack. That's just my comfortability. And then of course psycho skill, mattering by if you're on radiance or Heronsa. But I recommend Moonlit Cloud set, because confession phoebe does genuinely no damage. Spectra Rover does more damage than confession phoebe. It's kind of crazy. But then of course going to Zani, I'd say just pop echo, instantly ult, do a rotation, get out, repeat. That's how you do basic rotation. How you optimize that is doing some quick swapping in between by say shorekeeper start, go into confession, start it, lib, go back to shorekeeper, ult. Usually by then you should have the outro, because of course you scaled before that, and then go back into phoebe, finish her rotation, then go Zani, and then you just go full head Zani, just keep smashing, and then of course try to use that parry tech if possible, and then you just repeat. Now for Spectra Rover, it's a lot different. You gotta do a lot more brain power thinking in the way. It's not too much different, but you gotta play Zani a lot more well, and play just in general well with quick swapping. You don't have to do rotational sense, because there's no really buffs that you gain from Rover, because I think he's better on Eternal Radiance set than Moonlit, especially since his outro could take a while to get, and he could be doing damage on the sideline. Like I've seen some Spectra Rovers pop 140 ults, but that might be a buff. Mine pops around 60k if he's not an ER, but I sometimes have him on ER Spectra 3 cost, because it helps with his ult and then helps more consuming for Zani. Now with that, usually it's a lot of healer, of course, build their outro, then switching back and forth on Zani and Rover, so Rover can keep building up Spectra Frazzle, and then for his ult, making sure to gain energy, and then keep going back to Zani, sometimes mid ult even, and then keep doing full rotations, and of course the parry tech, and that's a lot of that. I will be showing examples throughout this video and how to play them, just like gameplay in the background, so hopefully it does help. But I will be showing that, I'm just kind of explaining it here. One more thing, you can also play Zani and Rover together. At the end of the video, I'll have all 3 of the teams playing as an example so you can know. But you can play Zani, phoebe, Rover. It is just very efficient, and I think it's just easier to play shorekeeper when you're playing a phoebe. And I don't think if you have phoebe, you should ever have a reality where you're playing Rover over phoebe, unless you're like testing like me. Now, some tinier tips. Never do normal parries if possible unless you're soloing. Genuinely only use skill parries and then hold parry tech, and never actually try to use normal parry. Echo, you can cast Echo anytime. I just say pop it before ult, or when her ult triggers. Like, pop Echo, then trigger ult. So then it lands by the time the ult started, then you're going in. But you can pop it anytime, doesn't really matter. Just be ready to, if you don't dodge right and can't see the best what's happening on screen, because there's 50 things happening on screen, especially when you're playing with Phoebe. Just be ready, you might get hit a lot until you get used to her. But she's not too bad, I'd say. She's actually extremely good in wuwa, the whimpering waste mode. The way you do her there, or I like to play her, is you start off with healer, and then you go into Phoebe. Quick rotations, like I was mentioning earlier, I'd say the best. You can do normal rotations, but kind of swapping back and forth into building it like a normal rotation is the best. And then Zani just hits like a semi-truck, clearing wave, and then when you're out of her, just make sure to build a little energy, then go back to Phoebe, and just kind of keep repeating those two, and then maybe fit in the healer if possible, but that's only if fast rotations. If not, just go full Phoebe Zani, and you can use Spectre Rover for that, but it was definitely a lot less powerful. But if your Zani's very well invested, she can usually do it fine herself. So that's my thoughts on her and wuwa. Now, giving all that, I think I got a lot of my thoughts across, how to play her. She's not a very hard character to play. She relies more on her team than herself if you want to play her optimally in reality. And the most optimization you could get with her in a team setup is that one parry tech. And that is very simple to pull off once you learn it. So, I think that's about it. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, like, subscribe, and leave a comment, please. That always helps the algorithm, and just, I don't mind a discussion. And hope you have a good rest of your day, and bye.